Hello, I'm Hune and welcome back to another episode of the Hot Lap Races with the AMG GT Black Series. The beast of the Green Hell, the record holder or allegedly record holder of the Green Hell, the Nürburgring. This is a this is a good car. I won't lie. In game is OP. It is. I know I said this with the GRERs, but it is really good. It is really good with minimal settings. Even it is really good. I kept it stock for this hot lap or these hot laps. I didn't do much to it. That's just how good it was.
Hune HR.
Welcome back, and we are at the Redbull Ring to start it all off. And by the way, just as stock as it is, the only issues I noticed with the AMG GT Black Series was braking and grip. Other than that, it was perfect, so dialed in. No other issues, honestly. So I had recorded a time, hence you see the ghost, and I believed that I could be faster, right? I didn't change anything, but I still believed I could be faster. I just really needed to really time my braking points, because red hot brakes. I had issues with braking, and obviously the grip for something this powerful. It was rather fun recording this one with this car. I don't think it was the most challenging like the F8 Tributo that tends to bite and snap at you. This was more dialed in. It was more focused on really delivering on the track, and I really enjoyed driving this one. Even then, I had this theory that if I do upgrade simply just the brakes and the tires, I could use this on the Nürburgring without any issues and put down a good time, right? For which I did test this, and there will be a video that will follow soon, so stay tuned for that. And another example of this is the previous daily race I uploaded almost a week ago. Maybe a week or two from this particular upload, where I used a AMG GT Black Series with I think it's AMG 1 livery, right? And this car is, you really don't need to do much to this specific vehicle. This is literally from when I bought it. And by the way, how dope is it that the little lip spoiler on the aerodynamics works? So this beat the F8 Tributo, but wasn't as quick as the GRERs. The GRERs is tuned, by the way. If you didn't watch the previous video, the GRERs is tuned. But the reason I tuned that one was because it was supposed to be the killer of such vehicles, the AMG GT Black Series. Such vehicles that make so much power, so track focused, and that car was so dialed in that it was able to beat something like this, right? And it doesn't even make nearly the same amount of power. So I found that to be really interesting. At least it was faster than the F8 Tributo, which ultimately I wanted that, right? Brings me great satisfaction. If you want to check out the times, you can just pause. You can just play the video back and pause and check out the times. Maybe I could be faster. Who knows? Maybe I could be faster. We at Autodromo de Interlagos, and don't mind the way I say that name. I'm just trying to pronounce it the way I think it would be pronounced. But pay attention to how the interior looks on this car. the way the dials work. Even the G-force meter is literally working there, and I was just like, yo, this is great. The amount of effort that Polyphony puts into the interior of these vehicles, especially when you're driving in first person, it is point on. It is point on. So the objective of this one is just to ultimately keep my ghost behind me. If I believe I can be quicker than the time I was set before then. And I think the problem was that I had set the time that was probably slower than the F8 Tributo, and I did not believe that this was slower than the F8 Tributo. But I didn't want to argue with the fact that it could be slower than the GRERs, because that thing is on a different level. So for this time I did a 1 minute and 1 minute and 40 seconds. And notice how in both this race and the Redbull Ring hot lap I managed to mess up the braking points right after I completed the time. And maybe because I was pushing to not stop, because with the brakes and the tie and the grip issue, you have to stop way before the checker flag, where the time is obviously going to reflect. So that's obviously going to affect the time. So maybe that's the reason why I did that. So excuses aside, excuses aside and looks aside, obviously this looks fantastic. It did better, and it was ideally faster than the F8 Tributo by about a second or so. And yeah, I really couldn't say much. I can't say much. And as you saw in that little pop-up, it was slower for some reason at Goodwood, slower than the F8 Tributo, but I couldn't allow myself to let that be the case, because obviously I believe that the car should be faster than the F8 Tributo. So we went again to set a much faster time, and I think for the most part, by the way, of all the cars I've taken on Goodwood, right, I've tested other cars, this was, I remember the mess that the F8 Tributo would create around the specific straight. This was so relaxed, it was so calm, even then at that speed. And it's just like, maybe if I make a few adjustments like I'm suggesting for the AMG GT, like brakes and tires, get slicks on, something sticky for the F8 Tributo could help a lot. Maybe reduce or upping the traction control might help a bit, but I'd like to keep it on 1 because it's part of learning. And all these driver assist settings, in certain races, BOP races like daily races, they could weaken you, or at least be your weak point against the other drivers, because it does limit traction ultimately, whereas other drivers would just, learn to maintain or control their vehicle better than what you do. So at this time I did a 1 minute and 15 seconds at Goodwood with the AMG GT Black Series. I just love the way it looks, the aerodynamics. I mean, the big grille is questionable, but see, it managed to set a faster time, as I assumed, and was so close with the GRERs this time, because the Goodwood has, so many straights, cars with high output, high power output, obviously capitalized with good, top end speed, would obviously capitalize, but the GRERs shines in those short little corners, and the times are relatively close between the F8 Tributo, the AMG GT, and the Black Series. So here I had gone for I had gone for a hot lap, but that hot lap wasn't necessarily what I thought was. I don't think it was good enough. It wasn't satisfying. For some reason, it always was the case with the specific vehicle. So obviously now really is the hot lap. And I could only picture myself doing better, right? And if you could watch this video, comparing it to the F8 Jupiter video side by side, you'd notice the sheer difference in obviously how the handling of each vehicle. You know, the F8 Jupiter tends to want to kick its back out, you know, through the bends. This didn't, really did even. So right now it would seem I'm behind my ghost, but I think the practice, or at least the improvement thereof, to learn the sequence of bends ultimately helped me, you know, master or at least be better than my previous time. So yeah, I think the comparison between the two cars, one which makes a lot more power and is less track focused, carries a lot of speed through the straights, through here with the F8 Jupiter I was struggling. This looks so settled. It looks so settled, right? So I for what it's worth, in game I can only assume it replicates or whatever the real car feels like in real life, right? And the F8 Jupiter, when comparing the two, is just, it's a menace on tracks like these. But I did a 147 compared to the 148, 1 minute 48 seconds that I did before, right? The only thing that like I said is an issue is really grip, especially when you're driving fast, and even then the brakes don't even feel like they're working, so you have to take a lot more time stopping. Anyway, that's it from me. Thank you guys for watching. Stay tuned for more videos though. They are definitely coming.